Hi, this is Marc with RawNutrition.com. In this video, I'll be comparing 3 different types of juicers juicing grapefruits. This is actually a third in a series of grapefruit juicing videos where I've used different types of juicers. This will be pretty much the last one. In this video, I have a citrus type juicer, an automatic ream that turns, an electric juicer. I've got the brand new Omega VSJ843. This is a single auger vertical masticating type juicer, so single auger that crushes. This would be similar to the previous juicer I used, the whole slow juicer from Kuvings, except this one should yield more juice. The tolerances are tighter between the auger and the screen, so it should yield more juice. Although this one is not a wide mouth opening, it's just a standard size feed chute. And I have the new model from Omega, the NC800HDS. This is the same as the NC800HDR, which is in red, or the 900HDC, which is in a chrome finish. So this would be a redesigned Omega 8006, which I also showed in the previous videos in this series. Redesigned, the opening is larger, very similar to this one here. And there's now an adjustment knob on the end for keeping the most pulp in to squeeze out the most juice. Also, the screen has a larger screen surface. So we'll see how these juicers fare compared to the 6 other juicers I've used previously. I'll go ahead and get started right away with the Citristar. This is an inexpensive, under $100 electric citrus juicer, and see how that goes. So basically I have 3 grapefruits for each juicer, and these are simply just sliced in half, and I peel these. So with the citrus type juicer like this, you just cut. So this would be similar to the juice press that I use, except it's spinning. So it will get in there and clean this out more than what we found with the Jupiter citrus press. The disadvantage is it may make the juice a little more bitter because it's actually rubbing against the inner skins, which could give a bitter taste. Whereas in the juice press, we didn't have any of that bitterness. So we'll see how this goes. Just basically push down and hold your piece. It's very typical. I mean, so many households have these juicers. Just thought I'd include it in the choice of juicers that I'll be presenting. The Citristar works pretty well. I've used this juicer a lot at home, and now I prefer to do most of my citrus juicing with the Kuvings whole slow juicer. Let's clean these out as best I can. The disadvantage here is I do have to squeeze and hold around, because the ream is much smaller than the actual size of the grapefruit. This really works great with oranges. If I want to get the most out, I do have to squeeze at different places to get that ream to clean out the interior of the skin as much as possible. The Citristar does have a little juice tap on the end that you can lift up, keep the juice inside or prevent drips. Pretty much when you're done juicing, you can lift that up. While juicing, you want that to be down. And it juices pretty well. There are faster juicers like this. Omega has the C10, and there's also the C20, which is even faster. And that would definitely get the process accomplished more quickly. If you're looking for something inexpensive and durable, the Citristar is really a good choice. piece. this is really an auto on and off. You just push down and it starts. So there's no separate switch, you just plug in, and when you push down it'll start. It makes it pretty easy to use. And safe too, so you just remove it and it'll stop. Okay, there you have it. Bring in all my 6 pieces. I've cleaned them all out like this. Now inside, when you're done, there is a fair bit of pulp. I lift this up, you can see the pulp that has stayed there that didn't get juiced. And you can push down with your fingers or a spoon to get the most juice out. That's pretty much all you can do with the leftover pulp inside here. Got the pulp and the seeds, which is nice. This does filter out the seeds. I'll go ahead and pour out whatever's left. And that's a pretty good amount of juice, comparable to our other juicers. We're pretty much at 3.5 cups, between 3 1/4 and 3.5 cups. So a good amount of juice. Definitely there'll be some pulp in it. A lot of it is filtered through these holes in the stainless steel filter here. And of course some pulp stayed inside. Well, there you have it with the Citristar from TriBest. Next up, the VRT843. So this juicer is a new generation of slow juicers. Turns at 43 revolutions per minute, so slower than the previous juicers, which were at 80 revolutions, some were at 60. What the main design difference here is the new auger has a blade on each side, so when it turns it does help to cut the produce as it's pushed in. And the new screen, a lot more surface area, a lot more solid, all stainless steel inside. The space between here is much tighter, so it should go in and squeeze out the most juice possible, as the spacing is very tight. This new juicer too is easy to assemble, easier than the previous ones. You do still have the plug at the bottom that you need to push in. This is for retaining the most juice, whereas the pulp is pushed out through the side here. So I'm going to assemble that. You see they're real quick and easy to assemble now, because there are notches that you just follow and put it in and then lock your top. Now this does have a juice cap for mixing. This video I won't need it, so I will use the included juice cup. And let me just spread I'll open these up and I'm going to get started. Perfect, so I left these holes so you could see that I had 3 whole grapefruits for each juicer. We'll get ready and start juicing with the VSJ843. This type of juicer, very important to start with some produce inside. Now these juicers are pretty much self-feeding, as you can see, pretty quiet. With the new blade at the top, it does, sometimes you do have to push a little bit, but generally not very much. It'll pretty much gobble up everything you put inside. There's my pulp container here. These are interesting juicers. The juice kind of comes out in spurts as you're juicing. Again, you don't really need to use a pusher most times. The auger grabs everything and pulls it down. You can see it's not going down, just a light pressure. You don't want to be pushing and shoving things in. When the juicer will stop, then you just have to reverse, go forward again. A light amount of pressure pretty much makes this the best way to use it. You want to make sure the auger is taking it up, and that's pretty much all you want to do. I like these juicers, even though they're slow turning, they go pretty quickly. You're definitely not heating your juice. You're squeezing the most out of it. You'll find this pulp is very dry. I am finding I'm Occasionally pushing in, these pieces are pretty big, so it's a little bit of pressure gets that auger to take it up and pull it in. So fairly easier to use than the mean style juicer here, where I have to push and hold each fruit. So it's pretty quick. I'll get the juice here. Yeah, so here's our pulp. And our juice is complete here. I'll put it in the same type of cup so you can see our results. Well, definitely right off, just from the look of it, we do have some more juice than the previous one. We are pretty much at 3 3/4 cups here with this juicer, with the Omega VRT or VSJ, I should say, 843. So this is a previous model was VRT 400, with new improved, slower, tighter tolerance, getting more juice out. And the pulp, driest pulp possible is a VSJ 843 from Omega. We'll test these later and see which is the most flavorful. Next up is the Omega NC800HDS. As I mentioned previously, just like the Omega 8006, except you've got a wider feed chute. The Omega 8006 is just 1.5 inches round. This one here, we're seeing a wider chute this way, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, almost, and 1 3/4. Main difference too is you do have an adjustment knob on the end. So this knob serves to apply some pressure onto the end of the screen here and retain more pulp, decreasing the amount of juice you'll get from the juicer. Also more screen surface compared to the Omega 8006, and a little more reinforcement on the screen here compared to the 8006, so the screen should be a little more durable. And you pretty much have the same auger for the juicer, so a few differences. We'll see if that yields it. Definitely should be easier to feed as the chute is bigger. And I will tighten that up all the way to number 5 at the tightest setting. And I'll need to start and open up these grapefruits so we can feed them. Perfect, so we're ready now to juice with the NC800. Again, this juicer turns at 80 revolutions per minute, just like the 8006, so that hasn't changed. Our horizontal type auger juicers will require pushing to get your fruits and vegetables to be taken out by the auger as it turns. The juice comes out the bottom and the pulp out the front. Something soft like this, you can just consistently keep feeding it. Now sometimes you can get some backup here. The previous 8060 actual feed pusher here was round, fit right in, and had a little silicone gasket all around, so you can really push and hold your things down. So see, with this one you don't have that advantage. The pusher is actually loose inside the feed chute. I am getting stuff backing up, and I can't really push it down. And you're seeing all the backing up. It will only really happen when you're doing something very soft like this. It's going to reduce the amount of juice I'm going to have. So I'm going to open up the pulp control. Okay. Let's see if by loosening that up, if we can get some of this to go in. Also, you can also try reverse. Move forward. So unfortunately, because of the way the pusher is made, I'm unable to keep pressure on that to help it go through the auger. So that's very different. The 8006, really, I guess that is an advantage, is the auger pusher, I should say, keeps everything in. So I really can't get the rest of the produce in here. If you're doing mixed fruits, vegetables, you wouldn't really have that problem because you can alternate. But something soft like this, it's really hard. Oh, there, I guess just keep it running a little more. And keep it pushing. I've pretty much cleared having the pulp outlet open all the way. A couple reverse and forward. Pretty much been able to clear that out. So now there's very little left. Still some. It would have been nice to push all that out, but I can't get it all out. So a little design issue there with the softer fruit, like the grapefruit. Grab a cup and see our yield. So even despite that, our yield is still pretty good. I'm seeing here 3 1/3 cups. There's a bit of juice that actually came out on the side here. So 1 1/3 cups with that one. Let's compare the pulp with each one. So as mentioned here, these are cleaned out. We do have some pulp that is left inside, and I did press it with a spoon, but it is still kind of juicy. But with this juicer, there's really nothing else I can do to juice this pulp here that's left there. That's pretty much the pulp with the Citristar. With our VSJ is definitely the one that's compacted the pulp the most. You can definitely see there's no juice in there and very little pulp compared to our Citristar. Here's our VSJ. Go over here with the Omega 800, the NC800. It's like a little more pulp, a little more airy, the pulp. Definitely more, you can feel more of the peel. The pulp is dry though, it's not soggy at all. The pulp at first was a little more moist, and that's normal with an auger style juicer. You are going to get, as before the auger gets filled up, some of the first pulp that comes out is going to be a little more juicy. But once you've started juicing, this looks really nice and dry. Perfect. Okay, so now there's a taste test. See what the flavor is like between the 3 juicers. I don't expect any significant differences, not like comparing the centrifuge juicer that I did in my previous video. You could really see a difference even in the warmth of the juice. You can tell even though there's not really any heating, the air that was incorporated warmed up the temperature of the juice. All these were refrigerated grapefruit. In here being all slow juicers, I doubt we're going to see any difference in the temperature of the juice. That's definitely all slow processing. I'll go ahead and pull out some glasses and we can check that out. Make a juice with our Citristar. VSJ843. Oops, I'm making a mess here. As you saw, the yield was pretty consistent between the 3. There's our 3 juices. The Citristar, as far as color, it would appear, at least from my angle, that the Citristar is one that doesn't look quite as rosy. These are all ruby red grapefruit, so this one doesn't look quite as rosy. Maybe a little more filtered than the others. But very good nonetheless. Just a little bit of pulp. Definitely not pulp free. Just nice, not too thick. VSJ843. Not really any more pulp. It did feel a little chunkier as I was pouring, kind of dropping a bit on the table here. It felt like it was a little chunkier, but taste-wise, no difference really. The same amount of pulp. But definitely color. The Citristar for some reason is not as dark. Definitely some pulp in here too. These feel a little more homogenized. Obviously the auger is rubbing that pulp more and mixing it in with the juice, whereas with this one, the pieces are just coming in whole. So that's the texture of the pulp is a little more rough, I would say, in with the ream style juicer here. And with these a little more blended together with the juice. Now, which would I say in my preference? As far as ease of use, I think you could see that the VSJ843 was the easiest, less messy, everything went in. We can even look inside. This is a single auger juicer. It is going to leave some pulp around the auger, and that is inevitable part of design. Kind of add more produce to push that pulp through. So as you can see, there's still some pulp around the auger. And that's pretty normal. You're not going to be able to avoid that unless you're adding more. You can reverse and forward a few times to clear some out, but you will always have pulp. As far as using though, there was no backing up. I didn't have any trouble like I did with the NC800. So definitely in this comparison, this is a great juicer, all-around multi-purpose tool, not just for juicing, but for processing frozen foods or making nut butters. The VSJ is pretty much a fruit and vegetable juicer. You can't really use it for processing nut butters or frozen foods. So, but as far as the taste test, as far as uses for making juice, I would really go with the VSJ843 from Omega. That's my personal favorite in this demo. Be sure to check out the previous 2 videos that I made. You can get an idea of the 9 different types of juicers juicing grapefruit. Again, this is Marc with RawNutrition.com. Be sure to check us out online and subscribe to our videos here on YouTube.